So Zohran Mamdani just became the first Muslim mayor of New York City. And 50 Cent, who is a New York native, is not too happy about that. In fact, he just posted this on his Instagram, saying, "Rest in peace to New York City."
Every dollar that we raise, I want to be able to prove to you that it's every dollar that's being well spent. That's the relationship there. And I do have to say, even though we have a disagreement on tax policy, every time I get a death threat, I still listen to many.
Republicans actively protect pedophiles.
DL Hughley just went off on 50 Cent, and honestly, he didn't miss a single point. The man's calling out the hypocrisy in full view. DL said he's had enough of these rich celebrities acting like they're still for the people, when in reality, the moment someone actually tries to help regular folks with real policies, they start panicking like their world's ending. So here's the deal. Zohran Mamdani just made history as the new mayor of New York City, the first Muslim mayor in NYC's history, and one of the boldest, most progressive voices the city's ever elected. His platform? Rent freezes, affordable housing, free public transit, all about making life easier for working people instead of just feeding the ultra-rich. But guess who couldn't handle that? Yep, 50 Cent. Before Zohran even got settled into City Hall, 50 was already acting like the city's gone up in flames. He hopped online, posted a picture of a tombstone that said, "R.I.P. NYC," with the year of death marked as 2025. Like New York just flatlined overnight. Then he dropped another pic of himself chilling at dinner with his crew, captioning it like everything's over for the city. Real dramatic. And that's when DL jumped in, sending shots right back at 50 and calling him out as a fake revolutionary. DL basically said 50's the type to talk tough about being from the streets, but gets nervous when people in power start fighting for the ones still living in those streets. Now the internet's eating this up, and the drama's heating fast. Even Zohran Mamdani had to step in and say something about 50's reaction. Things are getting spicy, and it's only the beginning.
The working people of New York have been told by the wealthy and the well-connected that power does not belong in their hands. Tonight, against all odds, we have grasped it. The future is in our hands.
Escape from New York, hit the road, all roads lead to Shreveport. That's what 50 Cent posted, like he's starring in his own action movie. But there's a real reason behind that caption. Shreveport, Louisiana is where 50's been putting serious money down. Through his company G-Unit Film and Television, he's turning that city into his new empire, leasing out studio space, announcing a massive $50 million entertainment district, and calling it the next big hub for movies and TV. Basically, if you want to work with him or be part of his rising projects, it's Shreveport or nothing. But here's where it gets messy. The same week 50's bragging about his business empire, New York's new mayor, Zohran Mamdani, drops his plans to raise taxes on the ultra-rich by just 2% for anyone making over $1 million a year. On top of that, he's talking about bumping corporate taxes to 11.5% and fixing that rigged property tax system that lets billionaire penthouses pay less than homes in the Bronx. That's when 50 started losing it. Mamdani also mentioned shifting the tax weight off working neighborhoods and putting it on the luxury zones. Spots like Central Park South, where $1 million condos get sweet deals, while outer borough homeowners get squeezed dry. And just like that, 50 Cent started throwing a fit online, acting like New York had taken its last breath. But the internet wasn't having it. People flooded his comments, dragging him for filth. Some called him out for being a sellout, while others said he'd forgotten where he came from. One person even wrote, "Guy who sold crack to his community suddenly cares about their well-being." Another fan reminded him that he once rapped about the struggle, and now he's crying over a tax plan that helps the very people he used to represent. The hypocrisy talk was loud, and 50 couldn't escape it this time. The comments under 50 Cent's post turned brutal fast. One person reminded him that 9 times his hospital bill was paid for by taxpayer-funded programs. Another fired back with, "Your grandma was on food stamps," and someone else joked, "Won't be long before he's in Tel Aviv kissing the wall, LOL. The internet was roasting him non-stop, and that's when DL Hughley stepped in and made things even hotter. DL came through with a sharp message aimed right at 50, saying it's wild to see someone who came from the struggle now crying over policies built to help the same people he once was. DL didn't hold back. He pointed out that when Trump was cutting food stamps and using hunger like a political weapon, all these wealthy celebs stayed silent. But now, the second a leader like Mamdani tries to lift people up, They start fear-mongering like the city's falling apart.
So Mamdani is going to be the new mayor of New York, 34-year-old kid. Like I said, I live in New York. I couldn't vote in that election, but if I could, it would have been an easy choice. But here's what I really don't understand. The man who is actively trying to use hunger to get his political way, saying that people won't have food unless they do his political bidding, is saying that the man who wants to make rent cheaper, public transportation cheaper, and food cheaper is the one who is ruining in America. So the man who wants to starve you to get what he wants thinks that the dude who wants to feed you, house you, and get you, make you able to get around cheaper is the horrible one. That tells you everything you need to know about where we are.
And if that wasn't enough drama, Zohran Mamdani himself clapped back too. After 50 Cent joked that he pay him $285,750 to leave NYC, Mamdani laughed it off and hit him with a reality check. He said 50 clearly doesn't understand how taxing the top 1% actually helps everyone by investing that money back into the city and the people who built it.
What I would say to you, 50, if you are indeed watching, or anyone else who's watching this show, is I continue to think that having the top 1% of New York City, who are making more than $1 million a year, having them pay 2% more for an economic agenda that would transform every New Yorker's life, including their own, is something that is worthwhile. I have to say, even though we have a disagreement on tax policy, every time I get a death threat, I still listen to Many Men. It's true.
Well, you take Many Men for motivation. I was going to say your answer sounds a little bit like clickety clank, the money goes into my piggy bank.
Wow.
And if we had more time.
The tension's thick, and this debate is far from over. But 50 still isn't letting it go. He's clearly heated about those taxes. He even reposted a clip of Zohran Mamdani's response on Instagram and dropped a caption saying, "I think his intentions are good, but his tax plan is gonna run the big money out of the city. And if he defunds the police, they're gonna purge. All roads lead to Shreveport." Yeah, he really said that. Now let's break that down, because what 50 wrote screams class scare tactic. This whole "the rich will flee if taxes go up" talk is the oldest trick in the game. New York's been hearing that line since the 1970s, and yet, surprise, the rich never actually leave. They love to threaten it, but they know where the real money and opportunities live, right here in NYC. Take this for example. Billionaire hedge fund boss Bill Ackman. During the campaign, he went after Zohran Mamdani hard, not just over politics, but with low-blow personal attacks. He even shared racist posts, painting Mamdani as some kind of radical danger to the city. Ackman made a big show of saying he'd pack up and move to Florida if Mamdani ever won. Classic billionaire tantrum. But here's the twist. The moment Zohran Mamdani was officially announced as the new mayor, Ackman switched up quick. He tweeted, "Zohran Mamdani, congrats on the win. Now you have a big responsibility. If I can help NYC, just let me know what I can do." Like, what happened to running off to Florida? Suddenly he's all smiles and offering to help the same man he was bashing a week earlier. That's exactly why DL and so many others are calling out this fake panic. Every time someone powerful stands up for working people, the rich pull this "we're leaving" bluff. But deep down, they know they're not going anywhere. New York is the stage, and they can't afford to miss the show. So when 50 said, "Donnie run New York," here's what really went down. None of this billionaire panic was ever about actually leaving. It was all about scaring people before the election. That's the oldest trick in the book. Whenever the balance of power even slightly shifts toward the working class, the rich suddenly start screaming that the economy's doomed, pretending they're the victims while sitting on mountains of cash. But the truth? These billionaires don't want to go anywhere. New York is their playground. It's where their businesses are, where the major deals get signed, and where all their investors live. You can't recreate that in Florida or Louisiana, no matter how low the taxes are. So instead of packing up, they bluff. They pull these dramatic stunts hoping to pressure politicians into backing down. And when that fails, they do a total 180, smiling, shaking hands, and acting like they were team players the whole time. The whole thing with Bill Ackman and 50 Cent proves exactly that. The second you even hint at trimming a tiny slice of their wealth, they start spreading fear, pretending to care about the working class. while still stacking millions and staying right where they are. It's all theater. Now about that part where 50 said Zohran Mamdani's gonna defund the police. That's straight up false. If 50 had actually read the man's policy, he'd know Mamdani never said he'd scrap law enforcement. What he did say was that the city budget needs to be rebalanced, putting more funding into affordable housing, mental health, and real community programs instead of endlessly pouring millions into a police department that still struggles to stop crime. Mamdani's not anti-safety. He's just trying to fix what's broken. That's not a purge. That's straight up common sense. Cities that invest in people instead of punishment always end up with less crime, not more. And that's a fact. So while 50's dramatic posts feed into this idea that the rich will flee and New York will crumble, that fear only benefits the folks sitting at the top. Regular New Yorkers are out here worried about rent, groceries, and getting to work on time. Meanwhile, 50's crying about a tax bump he can easily afford from his mansion in Houston. And that right there is the disconnect DL Hughley was talking about. How does someone who built a whole legacy off get rich or die trying suddenly act like the real problem is poor people just trying to live? It's wild. At the end of the day, this drama isn't just about 50 Cent or one billionaire getting salty. It's about a bigger pattern. Rich folks pulling the same scare tactics, trying to convince the rest of us that progress is dangerous, when really they're just scared of losing a slice of control. Zohran Mamdani's plan isn't about tearing down the city, it's about lifting it up. He's pushing to make life easier for regular people, and somehow that's what's got these millionaires shaking. The same people shouting RIP New York are still collecting checks off the very city they claim is dead. Make it make sense. Now I want to know what you think. Do you side with 50 and believe Zohran Mamdani's plan will wreck New York? Or do you think 50's just out of touch and forgot his roots once the money got good? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, share this with your crew, and don't forget to subscribe for more. See you in the next one.